Welcome to the Steel Birds podcast. Starring your hosts Corey King and Harry Brockington the fourth, aka Brock. What's going
What's
on,
going
man?
on, man?
Nothing much, back into it. I was on a little vacation last week.
Yeah, we took some time off,
Yeah. We've been off for a little bit actually, but yeah, we're back to the grind, trying to, watch our teams play good football hopefully this week and
Make $1 million
get
off
some
this
dubs.
FanDuel.
Yeah. Try and win some motherfucking money.
Right.
But yeah. So today we're going to, just recap week 7 and talk about what we're kind of expecting for week 8 and big games for both of our teams coming up. So we're
y'all a little
about
bit more
halfway
than us,
there.
a little bit more, yeah. Because that Bengals game is gonna be, it's gonna be
telling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Giants
we're about
might get ran out that building. I'll talk about that a little later.
Yeah. But yeah, we're about halfway through the year, so yeah,
Right.
let's
It's gone by fast, yeah.
Let's get into it. I'll go first.
Bad.
Because I didn't get to watch the game live because of
That's right.
I was on vacation ship, but I got to see the highlights, watch the film now that it's been, a couple days and stuff, and it wasn't like a impressive win for the Eagles by any means. It was good that they beat a team by more than 8 points. That was the first time they've done that since, I believe, October of 2023. So it's been I think it's been a year since they beat a team by more than 8 points or something. Which is not, which is good. I mean, but it's just funny that it's taken this long for a team that has so much talent, especially on offense, to struggle whooping teams is disappointing. But they're able to do it now. Saquon got his revenge.
Like to see that.
Almost had a career high. Everyone was talking about that clip that went viral. Him telling Nick Sirianni, like, let the young boys eat. Like, I don't need to get a career high in rushing. He didn't give a shit. That's the stuff you like to see from one of your leaders. But yeah, the offense again, just there's just so many stats where and so many people I respect just saying like, what the fuck are the Eagles doing when the game starts? Like the first drive of every game is like they get 5 yards total. I think going into this week, all 7 of their games, because this is their 7th game. I think whatever. All the games going into this week, their first drive of the game, they had 22 yards total.
Oh,
that's insane, man. Like total. That's their first drive. Like I don't understand what their game plan is ever going into games, but I also saw stats saying after the first 2 drives of the game, the Eagles have the second best offense in the NFL. So it's like there's just something that they're not doing right when it comes to preparing and starting fast. They're still the only team in the NFL without points in the first quarter. But once the game gets going, then they're able to, rely on that talent and do enough to win. It's just not the way I would like to see it. I would love to come out swinging, start with a lead and end with a lead instead of struggling and having to come back and win. And I think Dan Orlovsky said he said something I liked on ESPN. He was saying like I think he said the first quarter is on the coaches and the fourth quarter is on the players, and that's couldn't be more true than with the Eagles, especially on offense, because it seems like they always struggle to start the game because they're poorly coached. But then at the end of the game, it's just Jalen Hurts and usually AJ Brown having to, save us and doing special things to get points and win games. Which it's not bad that they're winning. It's just I just want to see it well done for once, please. And last week was. Everyone's like, "Oh, the Giants suck. The Giants suck." But yeah, I mean, at the same time, they kind of limited the Bengals, who we played this week, and they put up a fight against good teams all season. So the fact that the Eagles were able to beat them handily was good to see. But I need the offense to be better because we're not going to be able to rely on our defense holding teams to 3 points all year, especially, again, this week. Joe Burrow and them boys, they're not going to be held to 3 points against our defense. So I need Jalen Hurts to execute and be much better than he was. And looking at the stats, he was 10 for 14. So like, and I think he had 100 something yards. So it's like he wasn't asked to do much. But when you watch the film, like there are just so many plays to me where it seems like, once he drops back, he's looking, and it looks like he's looking at the first read. It looks open, and he just kind of holds it and either doesn't throw it or throws it late. It's like, what? His clock is just still too slow for me. It seems like he's just waiting and missing. So
right.
Hopefully that gets cleaned up. They're still trying to figure it out. They're coming off a bye week 2 weeks ago. They're still, figuring out who they are. They're running the ball a lot more, passing less. So I think they're just figuring out their identity. But we'll see. This is gonna be a big week. Big Lou, the D coordinator for the Bengals, will have some tests for them, but I'll talk about that more later. But yeah, defensively, I was not impressed. I was just I enjoyed what I saw from the Eagles. This is 2 weeks in a row where they haven't allowed a touchdown on offense. The Browns scored a touchdown on the Eagles because they blocked a field goal. So the defense, again, they're bending but not breaking. I'm finally seeing like good play in the back end with Cooper DeJean. I believe he was the fourth highest graded corner per PFF last week. And overall this season, even though he's only really played 2 games, he's the 5th highest graded corner in the league. So he's playing well. Would you like to see Quinyon Mitchell, every week is shutting down number ones and almost had his first pick again. He's just always locking dudes up. Malik Neighbors was struggling. And then Nakobe Dean had the game of his career. I believe he had a sack or 2. I forget. I think he definitely had 1 sack on a blitz where he looked really good, really fast. He was able to, cover well, which he struggled with throughout the year. So the defense is really coming along. We had 8 sacks total. Bryce Huff finally showed up. He had a sack and a few pressures. Nolan Smith looks great. He had a sack. Jalen Carter had 2. So, we need those Georgia boys to keep playing well. And I think and hope that, as the season goes along, Vic Fangio's kind of figuring out, okay, this is my personnel. This is how my scheme is supposed to look with these guys. And it's finally meshing. At the beginning of the year, it's tough. New coordinator, new players. It's, things are going to get messy. Communications off. That Packers game, there were like 4 big plays because dudes were just running around and bumping into each other and shit. So it seems like they're really understanding their roles now and their assignments, and they have the talent to cover people now. Avonte Maddox, respectfully, is not playing as much when Cooper DeJean is doing much better, especially in the run game. He's way more aggressive, can make better run fits, and he can cover. So stuff like that's going to go a long way towards the end of the year. As we, keep progressing the way we are defensively. And I just hope as the defense progresses, the offense does too, and we can hopefully make a run when the time comes. But yeah, it was overall, I'm glad they won. I'm glad it was a what's it called? Not a statement win, but like a big win. Like not a struggle. So yeah, that's basically it for Eagles Giants. How'd y'all's game go? Russ's first start, right?
Yeah, man. Russ's first start, man. I was real.
Yeah. What was your thought?
Kind of nervous.
Yeah, what was your thought process going into that? Like, I don't think we really talked about it, but like, how'd you feel about him taking over for Justin?
Well, I really just didn't agree with it. At first I just was like, Justin's 4-2, 1 interception, hasn't been turning. He wasn't doing anything that the haters that that weren't for him in Chicago, the analysts that really don't see him as a franchise guy. We're saying his processing is slow. He turns the ball over. takes a lot of sacks, holds the ball. You know, processing could still be a little bit faster. That's probably the only thing that was kind of accurate of what people were saying for his negatives. But like as far as, creating turnovers for himself, holding the ball too long, getting fumbles and stuff like that, he wasn't doing any of those things. And so I really liked the way he was playing. However, I do feel like because Russ had no time in camp, absolutely none, and then he has the 6 weeks, he didn't really like knock it out the park. He didn't really solidify that, there is no going back. So it was good, but it wasn't like, all right, well, this is it. Like he's gonna get that contract at the end of the year. This is the guy for 8 to 12 years, however, whatever. And so that I kind of figured that if Russ could get back in a decent amount of time, or if there was an injury to Justin, that it could get murky like that. And then all of a sudden, because I remember we talked off air, we saw Russ running in the zero gravity, and it was kind of like, man, when you're doing that, you're not close to really doing any action. So, but he's Russ, and he does extra stuff sometimes, to be who he is. So it's like maybe he was, because it's weird. Then it's like 2 weeks after that, now he's ready. So that's kind of what my thought process was leading into it. Kind of nervous, felt that some of the splash plays that Justin was able to create with his legs, that we weren't going to get that, especially not just because Russ is on the back end of his career, but also just because of what he was just dealing with. Having been out with a calf injury since July 24th. That's a long, long time to have a calf strain that I felt was more like he maybe have ruptured it or something like that, because a strain is not gonna bother you for months like that.
Right.
So that's kind of just how I was kind of just real nervous. And I know Jets, we're supposed to, going into this year, have been for a little bit, have a very decent, defense. They got, lockdown corners, 3 very capable dudes. Kind of got lucky where we, DJ Reed and Michael Carter were both out. So, and I know Sauce was dealing with some stuff like that, and he ended up playing. So really, we really only got him, but the other 2 guys were out. But regardless, the pass rush that they have with Quinn Williams, and Will McDonald has come on strong for them. That they got some guys. So I was a little bit nervous. But as we saw, Russ went in there and shut everybody up. He started, very slow, had some passes there. He had a screen pass that he just dirted. It was a lot of stuff at the beginning that I was like, oh, here we go, man. This is going to be another game where, I didn't, regardless, see us winning that game. I'm going to be really honest. I felt even if Justin was starting, that we were going to have some struggles because of how we start. And just because, we had, they had Devontae that was playing. I just felt like it was going to be one of those games. But then when we started the game, the way we did with Russ, I'm like, we're about to get blown out. This is ridiculous, 15-6, we're doing the same thing where we either can't even get close to the red zone, but if we do, then it's just going to end with Boswell kicking the field goal. That happened twice. So I was like, yeah, it's one of those things. And then you know what? We go on to score, 28 unanswered points, I think it was. They stayed at 15 for the rest of the game. Russ, showed that he still has that moon ball. His accuracy is still there. Definitely showed that the running is probably done for him. There was a few times where he had open grass, and I'm on Twitter live when the game is on, and a bunch of Steelers fans, analysts are saying, that's Justin right there, where Justin would have got 20 yards right there. Justin would have taken it to the crib right there. But he didn't even attempt to even try to scramble a little bit. It was just like he was throwing it away. So that told me right there, it could have just been because he's still kind of rusty. But for me, it's like he's not going to really try to even get a little bit of yards. Either he's going to try to dump it off or he's throwing it away. So that was like, oh, man. But, other than that, he had command of the offense. That is what I saw. That was the difference between him and Justin. Justin was making plays through his athleticism and stuff of that nature, but Russ had command. And that's really, being a veteran, that's what you want to see. And, Justin is considered a veteran now. He's not no rookie, he's 4 years in, and you kind of got to see that, what you're doing type of thing, telling guys where to be, making checks at the line. And that's what Russ was doing, to this point, George Pickens hadn't scored in a game yet. Got his first touchdown, goes over 100 yards. Najee goes over 100 yards, gets his second touchdown. Van Jefferson, who people have been clowning for, the entirety of the season about how he shouldn't even be in the NFL anymore, he gets his first touchdown. So it's like things were happening differently that obviously weren't happening when Justin was playing. And so that kind of sucks for Justin, but it's good for Steelers as a whole because it's showing with Russ, other than his running ability just being kind of diminished, that he can still do it. And I think he just is just scratching the surface right now. I think he just is dusting some of the rust off. That's why he kind of had the slow start, and the balls are kind of looking a little noodleish. His arm was not all the way warmed up, obviously being his first start. But I think as the game went on, it showed like he's still that same dude. When it comes to throwing the ball, at least, and processing and having command and that confidence. And so I was really happy to see that defense played lights out, as I would have expected. Excuse me. Had some guys that got banged up, you hate to see that, but as a whole, I liked what I saw. And I'll admit, I was wrong. He played way, way, way better than what I had hoped. And going into the Giants game, regardless of how scrappy or they're going to fight, it is what it is. That's fine. I have a zero. The way I went into the Jets game is going to be the exact opposite going to the Giants game. I think it's going to be another blowout. At the very worst, maybe we have a bad game and win by a field goal or a touchdown. But I really feel like they have no shot, just based off of how Daniel Jones has been playing. Absolutely atrocious. They have some guys out as well on defense, are kind of thin at DB. But I'm excited to see them build off of this win and kind of just continue, as what you were saying, starting fast and being able to just blow out teams. So we still have the issue with starting fast, but we're starting to blow teams out. To what you were saying, to your point about, it being a year of you guys beating somebody over 8 points, Matt Canada had 0 400-yard offensive games in the 3 years of him being an offensive coordinator. Arthur Smith through 7 weeks has 2. So that's already speaking volumes as to the difference. And we haven't seen the Steelers blow anybody out since Ben played. There was no blowing anybody. If we were winning by field goals or maybe a touchdown. There was no a complete dominance. We've done that 2 weeks in a row now. Now, granted, versus the teams that there were the Raiders and the Jets, but we never did it at all. And so I'm looking for them to do it again against a weaker opponent in the Giants. But then after that, I'm looking for it to be we're dominating good to great teams. So I just want to see them build off that. I'm excited to get some guys back off of IR that we're gonna see come back here and then go into the bye, get some more dudes back and kind of just build off of this. So I think playing the Giants right before the bye, getting that kind of like easier, dub right before we play Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. They're rolling, they're playing well. So hopefully Monday goes the way I think.
Yeah. What would your record be going into the bye if you beat the Giants?
6-2.
6-2,
which is
that's about what you expected.
That's exactly what I was saying,
right? Like what you wanted. Yeah.
I said either 7-1 and 6-2 going into the bye, just because I felt like no matter what, we're going to lose to the Cowboys. Even though we were in that game until 4 seconds left, we lost in the last 4 seconds, literally when they scored at the very end. But we deserved to lose that game because they had like almost 500 yards of offense on us. Defensively, that was our worst game. But I figured we would lose that game, and then I said I felt like we would lose the Jets game. Now we end up winning that game and losing to the Colts. I hated that we lost that Colts game, but it still ended up looking like what I figured, which would be 1 or 2 losses going into the bye. So that was kind of accurate there.
Yeah. No, that's dope. Yeah. So for the Eagles, this Bengals game is going to be very telling. Because I feel like I've always kind of paid attention how NFL fans in general like talk about Jalen Hurts versus Joe Burrow. over the years. Like they both made a Super Bowl and they haven't been back since. But like I feel like Joe Burrow got like anointed like the next king immediately after his Super Bowl loss and was like the GOAT until he wasn't for years afterwards. And when Jalen Hurts lost the Super Bowl, everyone's like, "Oh, it's a fluke." He ain't. He's nothing. Blah blah blah. And you know, it, even though he hasn't looked as good as he did in 2022 when he got to that Super Bowl, it felt weird to me that people were just like so quick to say like it's not who he is as a player. Now looking at this season, it seems that those people were right. But I just always thought it was funny, that they both had the same kind of resume, got to Super Bowl kind of early, but hasn't been back since, and it's they kind of struggled for different reasons. But
Yeah.
I've always just kind of paid attention to the Bengals, and I'm not a huge fan of their coach, and there's I've just always kind of been tapped in on them. So yeah, I just think this game's going to be a really good test on both sides of the ball. Their defense isn't the Bengals defense isn't anything special, but they have a good defensive coordinator, and I know like he will be able to scheme up things that will make Jalen Hurts struggle. And I don't think it's going to be as easy as it was last week. He's not going to be able to get away with throwing only 14 passes because on the other side of the ball, Joe Burrow is going to, put up points and score on our defense. So I think it's just going to be a good matchup and a good test to see if we can actually be a competitive team or, if we're as, as bad as I thought we were a few weeks ago when we got blown out by the Bucs. Because, if you're looking at the Bengals like game by game, there's an argument that they're one of the best teams in the AFC because like, that they went back and forth with the Ravens, almost beat them, but lost on a missed field goal basically, and then they lost on a dumb penalty against the Chiefs. And if they would have won those games, people would have them in a totally different conversation than they have now. So
yeah,
I'm excited to see all the matchups and stuff. Quinyon Mitchell against Jamar Chase will be interesting because he's been basically shutting down everyone's number one that we faced so far. So, can he do it against what I think is probably top 3 receiver in the league, top 5 receiver in the league? So, yeah, it'll be interesting. But gun to my head, I do think the Eagles can and will win. So
yeah, I just saw that the Bengals are favored. You guys are plus 2.5.
Yeah,
I didn't think that.
Yeah. Usually, they get when you're on the road because it's in Cincinnati. They're gonna be favored. So I think the Eagles can win that. Yeah, and I think the total is 47.5. That seems a little high to me. I don't see there being a ton of points, but I think it's gonna be a good battle. It'll probably be right around there. But I've gun to my head, Eagles win, and give me the under 47.5. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, if you're ready, we can hop into grind my gears and wrap this thing up. Unless you want to talk more about your matchup.
Yeah, I'll just say quickly, just ours is again, I'm looking at it. I thought I saw -6 last night, but it's -5.5. As sad as it to say, I don't even remember us being -5.5 versus anybody in the last however many years since, like I said, since Ben has retired. I love seeing that. People think we can win, and we can win by a lot, and that's really sad. But like that's just kind of how it's been for us having Matt Canada and post Ben. Then I'm seeing here 36.5 points. I'm a little skeptical on that because they've been seeing not only did we 2 weeks in a row we're blowing out teams, but we've gotten consistently over 30 points. I think we're averaging 27 now, or a little over 25, I should say. Sorry. And so 36 seems that's both teams to score 18.
You said what for 26?
If it's over 36.5, that's both teams to score 18. Yeah, so that's
36.
Yeah, so it's like even in garbage time, the Giants might get a little something. They do still have Malik Neighbors now, so it's like I know they don't. Obviously, that's probably saying they really don't trust Daniel Jones. That's rightfully so, but it's like the way we've been cooking, and they have the ability to score with that premier wide receiver. That seems a little fishy to me. So I definitely would take I would take the 5.5 and the over for sure. Smash the over because there's no way I think we get stopped by their defense right now the way they've been playing. And I would see both teams at least scoring that. So and then we kind of just run away with it probably at the end and stop them defensively. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'll say about that. That those lines look pretty profitable for the Steelers, and so hopefully
Yeah,
continue.
you got any bets for this week, like for your game at least, or anything?
I'm probably gonna put those in tonight or tomorrow. I like to kind of see, if stuff is gonna change, especially because Russ is playing now too. So I know stuff is gonna be a little bit different with
Yeah.
the stats and stuff like that. But no, I definitely will have some things in, some other bets just real quick before we hop in the grind my gears that I
Yeah.
do have. Um, the Jets and the Patriots game. I'm gonna say right now, take an alternate spread of 2.5. The Jets should be able to handle the Patriots, but sometimes they jet. So I would be safe and have them winning by a field goal. Hassan Reddick, I just saw is going to play.
He's in.
He's
Okay.
in. So I
That's
think
big.
that's big for them. Right there. Obviously, they're going against a rookie. I do like the way Drake May has been playing. I think he's definitely their dude, but still a rookie. And I expect Aaron Rodgers to bounce back. So I'll take an alternate spread of -2.5 there. The Packers, I have money line versus the Jaguars. We kind of talked about the Jags, a very sorry, pathetic franchise right now, just telling the truth.
Yeah.
So we'll take the Packers there. Ravens and Browns. Now, I think their line, if I check here real quick, they have the Ravens at -8.5. Now, that's kind of a big spread. I know the Browns are 1-6. They've been playing really bad. Jameis Winston is slated to start. But the Browns still have a very good defense. I know Lamar and them have been playing very well. So for me, I would take an alternate spread again of whatever you feel like. I took -2.5. I don't think that -8.5 is necessarily safe. I do think the Ravens win, but I'll just say that. Texans, I got alternate spread of -2.5 versus the Colts. The Texans have looked good against pretty much everyone other than the Packers and the Lions, which is their two losses. But I would just still say the Colts sometimes play scrappy. Their defense plays better than usual, like they did versus us. And so,
definitely,
I know Nico Collins is still out too, so that makes it kind of a little different for the Texans. And so I would take an alternate spread there, but I think the Texans handle that. And then I got the Lions and the Titans. I got an alternate spread of -4.5. They're not going to have James Williams. He's out 2 weeks for I think violating enhancements.
Yeah.
So I would say they handle them, but that should be a good game. And then Buffalo and Seattle. I think I got the Bills money line there. And then of course I got my Steelers money line. So those are just some quick bets if y'all
nice.
want to put those in.
Yeah. You're hitting a parlay a week, damn there. So if y'all,
I'm 5-2, just like the Steelers. So we're looking to make that 6. So we'll see.
If y'all want to win some motherfucking money, lock it in, lock that shit in.
I do what I can.
Yeah, no doubt. Just because I was mentioning earlier, just a parlay of Eagles money line and the under for that game 47.5 is +293. So you want to throw 100 on that, you win 293. That's something that y'all can do. I think that's how that game's going to go for the Eagles, and I'm probably going to be on basically every week. I'm under Jalen Hurts' passing yards, and that's been hitting every week, and over Saquon's rushing yards, and that's basically been hitting every week. So that's kind of how I'll cook up a same game parlay, is kind of sticking with that. And I've been seeing trends on Twitter. A lot of people that I follow are saying like what they've been doing just because it's trendy, like not because like they believe it, but it's just like fun to do. Is a lot of people are betting receivers over on their receiving yards, but under on their receptions. So it'll be like,
I've been seeing that.
So this week it was like for this week it'd be AJ Brown. I think his over receiving yards is like 77.5 or some shit. Where is it? I lost it. Whatever, it's fine. But yeah, it'd be like over his receiving yards, but under his receptions,
I will say the
5.5. So
I have seen.
Yeah.
I've seen what you're saying.
What
So
was,
I will to add it for me with that. So I've seen it hit a few times where they're doing it with kind of like faster, speedy receivers. Like I saw someone do it with Rashid Shaheed to have under 2.5,
yeah,
80 yards and a touchdown. And then it might have been Zay Flowers, I believe, or whatever. But I will say with doing that, be careful because when it's a guy kind of like AJ Brown that can be both, a possession receiver and the number one and have the speed, he could get a lot of targets, and so that can mess you up by
yeah,
the end of the first quarter. But when it's kind of like they're considered just a speed dude, and they're just going to try to hit them on certain plays, like kind of like a
yeah,
Jameson Williams or whatever. That's
right,
where it kind of is perfect because they're not going to go to those guys all the time, and they're only going to break, a
yeah,
few plays here and there. It's the NFL. The defensive guys get paid too, so it's like you kind of betting on that. So I would say try to
yeah,
do it with the dudes who are maybe wide receiver 2 or 3 that got some speed, and that usually that has been hitting like Corey said on some
yeah,
parlays.
yeah.
So.
Jameson Williams has fucked me many times financially, but yeah, nah, that's the perfect example. He's the type to have like 2 receptions for 100 yards and a
Right.
touchdown. Like
Yeah.
that's it. So
Yeah. So.
yeah, but well, let's hop into grind our gears and wrap this thing up.
Right.
Alrighty. I'll start it off because mine I couldn't really think anything too major, but I just saw it and it just bothered the shit out of me for a while. The way people try to get engagement on Twitter, just the way sometimes people like end tweets is just so corny to me. You can just tell they're just trying to get people to like respond or get retweets and be annoying on purpose. Like most recently, what I saw, that the reason why this might grind my gear segment is someone tweeted like, oh, Lamar has this many passing yards and this and that. Like it was like praising Lamar because he obviously has been balling right now.
Right.
And then to end the tweet, it said, not bad for a running back. It's like, oh my God, man. That was funny like his rookie year when he,
Only.
after the
Only.
combine shit. Yeah. And everyone was saying like, oh, not bad for running back. That was 6 years ago. Like we gotta move on, man. Like
Yeah.
that shit is so whack to me. Like, and I just see that all the time. Like where someone will be like, they'll have a good tweet, like they'll have some good stats. There's this guy, Thomas something, who's an Eagles fan. He has some really good tweets. I like what he tweets out, but then he'll end it with some corny shit just because he knows like he'll get a couple extra retweets. And I'm like, you don't have to do that. You can just say the stats, praise the player and move on. We don't have to like be like, yeah, not bad for a running back. Like, shut up. So
Yeah.
that just bothered the shit out of me. The way people talk about Lamar in general bothers me just because like I feel like he doesn't get enough respect even when he's playing really, really well. But that's a different conversation. But yeah, that's my grind my gear segment. Quit being corny as fuck on Twitter, please. So
yeah, I blame Elon Musk.
Yes, yeah,
because
lock him up.
The way he's made Twitter is why people feel like they can do that now.
Facts.
You're gonna get more money for tweeting stupid, disrespectful stuff like that. So,
facts.
Elon, do better.
Yeah, count your days.
Stop being a weirdo.
Yeah.
You're a bum. I don't care that you're rich. You're a bum. But yeah, I definitely agree with that. There's a lot of that's been like that. Twitter has been ruined in that way for a little minute now. So definitely agree. So mine, man, I've kind of felt this way about certain people in certain situations and certain things. So I'm now on the other side of the fence and going to defend this. But age dictating athletes' ability and what they are considered to be able to, what they can do because of their age. And a main part of that is just Russ being 35, he'll be 36 next month. Kirk Cousins being 36. The expectations on when Tom Brady was playing, being in his 40s, him showing that really didn't matter whatsoever. Still the greatest. Even Aaron Rodgers, and we know that he's regressed, but still being able to have the arm angles and the strength at 40 years old to do. None of that should matter anymore. And I'm just kind of sick of people saying like, in the last 2 games that Derrick Henry was playing in, I remember Kirk Herbstreit saying like, and this dude is 30 years old. We're 30 years old in a month and a half. What does that even mean? I do not. I feel I will be turning 30, and I still feel like I'm in. I'm 20. It doesn't. It really is not. Physically. As lifting wise, running wise, it's not anything that is extremely crazy. And I know because it's a running back and they have a lot of mileage, whatever. But it's like we have got to stop that narrative because it's not like in 50s, 60s, 70s when people were tearing their ACLs and people, when they got close to 30, they were kind of declining. Athletes are evolving just like everything else. Like they're getting better and more talented, just like everything else is getting better with technology and stuff like that. So it's like that's not really a thing anymore. With the majority, I would say, because yeah, there is some guys that might tear an ACL here, and then you kind of see that they decline, or they might have a shoulder injury or something like that as a quarterback, and it's different. But it's like that's not what it really is anymore. And so, I would just say we have to stop the age thing. It's like that's not really what it is anymore. And so until it's consistent, kind of how when it was back in the day, where a lot of people you see them fall off 30, 35. But right now I feel like the majority of athletes that are hitting those milestones, they're still putting up great numbers. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
that shouldn't matter anymore.
Yeah. No, I
Especially
agree.
when it comes to, I'll add to when it comes to like signing a free agent or giving somebody a contract saying, this dude turns 37. Okay. And if that almost 37-year-old is playing better than the 24-year-old that you would sign, why wouldn't you sign him?
Right.
That makes no
Yeah.
sense. So
Yeah. 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 A lot of the times it's just a matter of like how long they've been in the league, not necessarily their age. Cause it's like, like you said, the wear and tear matters like somewhat when it comes to their performance, but not their age. Someone could have came like Juju Smith Schuster. He's been in the league for a minute. He was young when he came in. Now he looks worse than some people who are over 30. I don't even know if he's 30, but like, stuff
yeah,
like
he's a
that
27, I
matters
think.
more than his age. So yeah, I'm with you. I agree. Yeah.
For sure.
Well, we'll be back next week to talk about our games and see how our teams fared. Please rate, review, subscribe on all streaming platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Follow us on socials at Steelbirds Podcast and at It's Your Boy CK at Brock _IV. And we will catch y'all next time.
Yep. Peace.